Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the next video in the ReParenting course. As we will be discussing today, the Freud stages of human development, okay? This is a part of the new transformational program, integrating the NeuroGraphic method, where we get to provide reparenting, nurturing our inner child, strengthening our inner parent, and building and envisioning, creating a happy inner and outer adult, okay? In this segment, we're going to discuss Freud's stages of human development, the 5 psychosexual stages of development by age, okay? Sigmund Freud was, let me see, Sigmund Freud created the theory of psychosexual development. It's one of the psychologists' best known and most controversial theory. This is the most famous one, okay, created by Sigmund Freud. He discussed the idea of sexual energy of the id taking different forms as child matures, and the idea of libido, driving force behind any behavior, okay? According to the famous psychoanalyst, Sigmund Freud is the father of the psychoanalysis, okay, the field, the beginner field within the psychology field, okay? And according to Sigmund Freud, children go through a series of psychosexual stages that lead to the development of their adult personality, okay? He talked about specifically 5 psychosexual stages, and he described how personality developed over the course of the childhood, okay? It's important to note, as we're going to start, and I'm going to bring it later on toward the end of the session, how this is considered to be one of the most controversial ideas, both during Freud times and within modern psychology, even more so, okay? And by the way, if you read any psychologist, they all always divide into 2. Are you a Freudian or not? Okay? It used to be much stronger before. Nowadays, not as much. But still, if you meet any psychologist, you can ask them that question. Are you a Freudian? Do you still believe in Freud ideas or not? It's like a basic psychiatrist as well, by the way. Okay. Let's go to discuss the stages. There are 5 stages of psychosexual development: oral stage, anal stage, phallic, oedipal electro stage, latency stage, and genital stage, okay? Important to note, each stage produces challenges that are demonstrated by frustration, conflict, anxiety. If not resolved properly, normal development may be interrupted, and then the child will remain fixated or stuck at a current stage, okay? Something to keep in mind, okay? Again, this was the idea proposed by Freud. We'll discuss later on the problems, how the controversy within this theory. Okay, so the first stage involved the oral stage, okay? It lasts from some say 0 to 12 months, some say 0 to 18 months, okay? It's about stimulation of the mouth. It's about the stimulation of the mouth produces pleasure. That's why children mouth everything. That's where children, babies experience the world through their mouths. It's very important for them to have mouthing toys. It's very important for them to allow the children to get the opportunities to explore everything through the mouthing, okay? If that is not taken care of, if children are not given opportunities to be allowed to put things in their mouth, they will get further fixation as adults. They will be focused on smoking, overeating, nail biting, and chewing on pencils as adults, okay? Again, oral fixation, not getting the sensorial connection to the oral development, okay? The second stage is the anal stage. It develops during the stage of 18 to 36 months. The stimulating of the anal region produces pleasure. This is about, of course, those of you who have children, we're talking about toilet training stage, okay? Toddlers experience conflict over toilet training. They avoid it, they resist it, right? Challenging it. And it's important for parents to be patient, to provide necessary care and nurture as children need to learn how to take control of their bowel movement, of their urinary movement, of their toilet needs, okay? If that is not provided in a nurturing way, The fixation later on will be anal retentive or anal expulsive, right? You probably heard people being called anal. It's about obsessiveness about neatness and cleanliness, holding everything in, or the opposite, being very messy and disorganized, okay? Being sloppy, basically. This third stage is the phallic stage or adipose stage. This is the most controversial stage, by the way. Freud discussed the idea that everybody gets obsessed. It's called the phallic obsession or the phallic, the penis envy, it's also called, right? The girls get penis envy, right? That they don't have one. And the boys are obsessed about it. If they see their father, they will think about it. Self-stimulation about the talking, touching their genitals will produce pleasure and they will focus on it, okay? And they're saying here's where, throughout this stage, is where personality will be fundamentally formed, okay? Of course, the most controversial part here is that girls have penis envy. That's a huge controversy. He talked about Oedipus complex based upon the Greek mythology of Oedipus, who by series of unfortunate events, if I may phrase a famous book, happened to marry, killing his father. The Oedipus is a character that killed his father and married his mother without actually being aware of it, right? He was separated from birth. Talking about attachment theories again, we just talked about it, right, in the previous video, and there you go again. And that's called an Oedipus complex when Freud talk about it, that between the stages 3 and 6, children get attached or developed attachment, unusual, or he calls it unhealthy, unnatural kind of interest in the parent of the opposite sex. Basically, girls become totally attached to their father. Boys become totally attached to their mother, okay? We're actually going to discuss this further on during the bodydynamic stages that I will bring you. And that will be explained in a different terms, okay? Not labeling it healthy or unhealthy, not labeling it as any complex, not giving any envy to any genders specific, a more comprehensive way to understand that stage. But that's what this was, again, I'm presenting you the ideas that Freud gave you, okay? The 4th stage is latency, okay, 6 years to puberty. Sexual feelings exist, but they're not yet developed or shown, okay? Boys are not interested in girls. Girls are eek or yuck. Girls are not interested in boys. They're like so silly and stupid, right? Children avoid actually members of other genders, right? Girls like to click together. Boys like to click together. They think the other part is like, oh, silly or annoying, right? Cootie stage, you know. And that's like pre-puberty, okay? And of course, the genital stage, puberty and onwards, children becoming interesting in other sex, in other gender, in the opposite gender. Nowadays, as gender roles have switched and gender fluidity has come up, this actually takes a further interest how this would be developed, right, as children, but the idea is the same, okay? Sexual development is what we're going to discuss here, okay? As people start developing interest in sexually, in intimacy, we're going to call it as it is, an emotional level, it's developing intimacy. It's this need, right? We talked about the attachment theory. It's need to socialize, to be connected to another person, okay? Who recognized one of my favorite teenage years show, right? Saved by the Bell. Yeah, that's what it is, right? And they play the roles of a husband and wife. They do that middle schools, high schools. People tend to play roles, what it's like to perform families. Children, as they grow into becoming teenagers, grow into young adults, become interested in the social structure of forming the relationships in social structures like families or not necessarily families, opposite gender or not necessarily opposite gender, maybe development for the same gender and all that stuff, okay? Adolescent adults having mature sexual feelings and experiencing pleasure from sexual relationship with others, okay? Connecting to others on a physical level, emotional level, intimacy, mental level, socializing, okay? And of course, soul level, okay? Connecting on discovering various spiritual experiences, okay? So Freud said that those 5 stages is actually how an adult personality is shaped by progressing through the early psychosocial stages, that developing defense mechanism that will reduce anxiety. He will talk about whether the ego was strong enough to balance the conflict between the id, instinctual, natural instincts, what the body wants to do. I want to eat, says the id. Superego says, you can't eat now, it's not lunchtime, you need to work, you need to be in school. Okay, your conscientious, moral, Eric Berne called this your inner parent. This is your inner child, and ego, of course, is your inner adult. Balancing out, figuring out, say, okay, we understand, we accept the fact that you're hungry. How about you wait 20 minutes and then lunch will start and you will eat, okay? Kind of balancing it out, the ability to do that, okay? Criticism, very important to know that there is criticism, important criticism of the psychosocial sexual stages of development by Freud. Number 1, the theory is focused almost entirely on male development with little mention of female psychosocial development. Absolutely correct, totally agree with it. Even though it's important to note, most of Freud's patients were females, okay? This is where the idea of hysteria came in, right? The idea that females, when they complain, they're being hysterical. When they're too emotional, they're being hysterical. Lots and lots of, what do you call that? Labels and views of social, emotional development, the way females developed necessarily, is based upon, was based upon the way Freud labeled it as being hysterical, overly emotional, basically not accepting and not becoming aware of the reality of female development, the necessity of emotional development as well, okay? Freud, in fact, considered all emotions to be like unnecessary and a nuisance, okay? Kind of what we referred here as a defense mechanism, kind of, you know? Freud theories were difficult to test scientifically. Concepts such as libido were impossible to measure, weren't scientifically valid, basically. Right. Important to understand, future predictions are too vague. It's interesting to note that that Freud based his theory, by the way, he did not observe any children. Okay, so he really created this theory based on adult behavior, adult research, watching his and writing down all the research on his adult patients. Okay, he had not done any actual observation study of children, so that's important to understand. It's important to understand that the time between cause and effect was too long, so you can't prove that just because children behave this way or supposedly observed this way, behaved this way, or did something or didn't do something, that's where adults will come in. But the reason why Freud's stages of human development is so important in any study of psychology is because based upon those early studies is what every single psychological theory is based upon, starting with one of the most important one of the major ones, what's his name? It's in my mind, I can't remember, not Freud, but the other one. His successor, they actually worked together, and then he separated. Carl Gustav Jung, okay? Jung actually connected with Freud first, and then he said, you know what, I think that, you know, Jung went into analytical psychology development, right? Kind of break off. Basically, that's what it was with Freud. A lot of psychologists collaborated with him, but one by one, they all broke off, right? Creating their own theories. Freud did not accept them. He was like, my way or the highway usually. But Freud's theories are very important because based on that, we can understand how further the field of psychology has been developed to bring further research and further ideas and further development in understanding the human behavior represents, okay? It's important to note, so like early experience, again, in our case, it's about how important early experience is, okay? Important, we talked about it during the transactional analysis, during the attachment theory. Early developmental experience is important for adult formation, okay, to become happy, successful adults, it's important to, and this is what we do in the reparenting course, to kind of relieve in a controlled manner, relieve certain experiences without actually going back and reliving a certain experience per se specifically, but generally revisiting that era within your conscious, or rather, I would say more like subconscious, and adding the necessary resources that were missing at the time. Okay, and that's the idea. That's where Freud's theory becomes important. Okay. Again, I'm inviting you to join the reparenting course. We're meeting on 10 Thursdays. We had 2 sessions. We're meeting tomorrow for the 3rd session. You can join us. Most people watching recordings because the time zone, you can join live, you can watch in recording. It's up to you. The special introductory price was $128 until Thursday, February 8th. Now it became up to, I think this is $178 or $188. We meet live at 12 p.m. EST every Thursday till April 11. Welcome to get more information about the course. I actually made a video if you want to watch it on my YouTube channel, Lana Shalom, or you can go to my website, one of this website, to see the full information, okay? Thank you for joining me. Thank you for your attention. And I'm looking forward to giving you more information, more interesting theories and thoughts about how our early experiences and early development contributed to who we are and what we do in our life being successful.